Welcome to the Clippers Postgame show presented by Hyundai. The Clippers fall in Denver. Final score 120-101 here in Game 7 as we welcome you inside Ball Arena. Christina Pink, Jim Jackson, and, well, not the result we were hoping for. This game really turned in the second quarter. The Nuggets did a lot of damage in the fast break and transition, and it seemed like the Clippers really couldn't recover.
First of all, you got to give a lot of credit and respect due to a championship team, which is the Denver Nuggets. The core of that group are still together. They miss a couple pieces like KCP, but the core that wanted are there. So they dug a little bit deeper. The energy in that second quarter, they took the hit from the Clippers, but it only knocked them back a little bit. It did knock them down, and they responded from that. And once the ball was rolling, there was no stopping. But I will say this, and I said this during the course of the game, yes, Denver played well. A lot of plays that happened within the Clippers, and not just in this game, have been miscommunication. Okay, you talk about what defensive adjustments do you need to make. To me, it's execute your defensive plan. And when you do that, at least you have the guidance to disrupt some offense. A lot of the three-point shots came off miscommunication. That was created, once again, by the Clippers. And when you have wide open shots, you're able to knock it in. So if you look at the number of shots that were taken and made for Denver, a lot of them were wide open. And again, it goes back to, I think, the lack of defensive discipline, not talking early and often, allowing a team like Denver to find their rhythm and range at home. You start knocking in those threes, the crowd gets involved. It's tough.
They had 24 fast break points, so those can be momentum-changing plays, and it certainly felt like it. Some of them felt like back-breaking plays because it's hard to get back in transition and hard to slow these guys down.
Really, but they were the top fast-breaking team all season. But I thought the Clippers did a really good job throughout this series of limiting that. And actually, we have more transition plays go through the course of this series. But in this particular game, when we missed, we turned it over, this team was out and running. A shot went up in the corner. We didn't get back in transition to give it up. Those are momentum type of plays. In particular, the way the Clippers started in the first quarter defensively, when they were kind of up into the Nuggets, made it tougher for them to score. But then you turn around in the second and you start giving up layups. Guess what? Your half-court offense begins to find a little bit of rhythm. And once that faucet is open and turned on, it's hard to shut it off. For length and athleticism, I thought the move was critical because he was able to defend Jamal Murray one-on-one. If he got switches inside, he could still do it. But he scored on the offensive end because he was going to be a benefactor of all of the coverages for James and also Kawhi. So I thought it was a great move at the beginning. I mean, kudos to Derrick Jones Jr. being ready to play, okay? Not just from a defensive end, but when the shot was available or made available, he was able to step up big time and knock it in. You see the block right there. That's where he can make his hay right there is on the defensive end of the court. He did an excellent job in the first quarter. And you see where his shots came from. You're going to see it in the shot chart. You're at the rim, and he had out there in the three-point shot. But 10 shots came because he made himself available. But more importantly, Christian, like you said, he was ready to play.
Yeah, Derrick Jones Jr. stays ready, certainly answering the moment, coming out, helping the Clippers get off to a good start before things started to slow down. Now, in a few moments, we'll be hearing from Nuggets head coach David Adelman. So before we get to him, let's hear from Clippers head coach Tyronn Lue.
Ty, what did you tell the guys after tonight's game? Did you guys talk about the whole season or just about tonight's game?
No, I just brought it in, and I taught the guys individually. A tough loss, and like I said, not playing our best game in a situation like this, and a lot of emotions. And so just told the guys bring it in, one last hug, and we'll talk tomorrow. But they came out. I thought we came out with a decent mindset. They went to that zone and kind of made us stagnant offensively because of the way we were attacking them. And then I thought, when they went to that zone, it just kind of slowed us down offensively. And then defensively, we didn't really, get into them, get closer to the guys and have that pressure. And so they was able to pick us apart.
But can you evaluate this season for you guys, starting back from, September up to now?
Man, that's a long time ago, but I think starting training camp, not having Kawhi and the uncertainty of when he'll be back, I thought James did a great job of leading his group. And then to start the season, the kind of season that Norm had, the career season that he had, the career season that Zoo had, and James being able to hold this team together until we got Kawhi back and getting Kawhi back to where he was in, rare form of who he is. And so once he got back and, got to playing like himself, I thought we really put together a strong run. Winning 18 out of 21 to get to this position, I thought was really good. But I just thought, like you said, all year long, just, sticking together, staying together, until we got to this point. And like I said, I'm proud of the guys and everybody in that locker room for what we was able to, accomplish as far as, staying together, winning 50 games. And, you hate to see them go out like this, in the game 7. So that's very disappointing.
So you guys exceeded a lot of the external expectations this season, but it always felt like all year long internally you guys had a lot bigger goals for yourself than what, the outside expectations may have been. How do you kind of emotionally just take that all in at this point, knowing that you guys did exceed a lot of expectations, but at the same time didn't go nearly as far as you wanted to?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard because, like I said, when you lose the last game and you get eliminated, it's tough to think about all that. But like I said, for the guys, for everybody in that locker room who contributed and in any way they did, I think is huge. I think coming out supposed to win 35 games and, we win 50 games and, get to the 5th seed and play against a really good team, and so we had our opportunities. And then tonight, so it was just a tough loss for us. So I think everybody's thinking about that right now, because everybody in that locker room, from coaches to players, are great competitors.
Ty, I know you haven't spoken to them yet. When you do plan on talking to James and Kawhi in particular, like those guys made it to this game healthy and they're at the stage of the career that they're in. Like, what do you plan on kind of telling them to encourage them, but also, something that gives all of you a thought that you could do this again next year? Yeah, I mean, just encouraging, I think, James having to carry such a heavy load, with Kawhi missing, I think, 45 games and just having to carry that load, all season long. And he did a great job with that. And I think Kawhi, like I said, coming back, being Kawhi and having a confidence in his knee that he can play more minutes, he can get through these games. And those two together for a whole season, I think would be tremendous, and so, when you have your best player missing 45, 40, 47 games, it's kind of hard to really gel the way we wanted to. But I thought they did a good job of just, sticking with it, and whatever we need to do to win that night, they did it.
Ty, how tough is it just to rationalize the way that things unfolded tonight when you hold Nikola to 14 or whatever it is, 16, and Jamal and him to 0 of 9 start? How do you make sense of just what happened when you guys did that on him?
I thought we didn't do a good job transition defense. We allowed them to get out in transition. The steals they did have, they were pick sixes, they were dunks and layups. And then, when they found their offensive rhythm, it was hard to stop them. And, they run good stuff. Thought DA did a great job of just putting guys in position to be successful. And, like I said, they picked us apart, I thought, and everybody got involved. And so, when you're playing against a good team like that and you try to take the best player in the world out, it opens up everything for everybody else. And they did a good job with that.
Time. Clippers in Denver, Kawhi Leonard and Nikola Jokic going head-to-head. We start you off in the first, and it's Nikola Jokic with the quick rebound and zips it ahead to Christian Brown, who throws that one down. And at that point, it's a one-point game very, very early on. Then James Harden to Kawhi Leonard for the drive and tough layup. Look at him take the contact there, and it's 13 apiece. Aaron Gordon over to Russell Westbrook, who really played well in the first half of this game. Knocks down the three there. Denver up 28-26. Then Westbrook again with the steal. Over to Aaron Gordon, who stuffs that one home. Denver by 3. Later, it's James Harden to Leonard for another tough layup. Plus the foul, he'd make the free throw again. Nuggets in transition. Russell Westbrook to Jokic for the layup plus the foul. He would miss the free throw here, but Denver now up by 6. Later in the second, Russell Westbrook misses the free throw, gets his own rebound, goes up and lays it in, and Denver's up by 8. And it's Jokic getting the block, and Jamal Murray on the other end, just racing down court, finishes with the lay-in. And at the break, Denver opened up a double digits lead, 58-47, and in the third, they just really took off. Aaron Gordon stuffing that one in off the dish from Jokic. Jamal Murray to Michael Porter Jr. for the corner three. Then Jokic to Michael Porter Jr. for a three, part of a 17-3 run for Denver to start the third, and they're up 73-50. Later, Jokic with the drive and the layup plus the foul, he would make the free throw. Then Christian Brown to Aaron Gordon for the reverse alley-oop, and it's 82-54. Russell Westbrook to Brown for the three-pointer here, and Denver up 89-61. Jamal Murray takes the lead over the 30-point mark. With this turnaround jumper, it's 97-66. Then Westbrook gets the steal and the jam, and Denver goes on to cruise in this one. They win it by 19. Your final score, 120-101. They win the series 4-3, and the Nuggets will move on to face the top seed in the Western Conference. Of course, we're talking about the Oklahoma City Thunder.
And unfortunately tonight, the Clippers defense just didn't have it.
Well, they didn't, but the offense compromised the defense with a lot of the miscues and mistakes. And you see Tyronn Lue there, one, understanding the gravity of the moment, two, assessing the season in this aspect that to be exactly where we're at right now, the Clippers today, to be in the fifth position to win 50 games, a lot of that was not expected. To have Kawhi back healthy through the playoffs, have an imprint on what he was doing and what the team would do. All things you hoped for, but you didn't know exactly if they were going to take place. They did. But at the end of the day, like he said, that entire locker room was competitive. They felt they had an opportunity to win. They just didn't come here to say, we got lucky this season and we pushed Denver to 7 games. We're happy to be here. I actually thought they had a chance to win the game. So it makes it even more disappointing. Not just the loss, but how you lost the game. And he said the players right now are probably dealing with that right now in the locker room, that you can deal with losing, but it's how you lose the game that really affects you mentally. And it takes a little bit longer to get over.
Yeah, tough to get over this one, but they'll have a little bit of time to recover, to think about it. But it was a great season for the Clippers, and we'll talk a little bit more about that after this as we start to wrap things up here in Denver. Clippers fall to the Nuggets in the 4-5 matchup. Final score here was 120-101 from the Mile High City.